G'day, Pickleball family. First thing to know as I share my screen here with you, exciting news near and dear to my Aussie Pickleball heart. The MLP has announced an expansion into Australia with its first international partnership. Let's dive into the article and see what's transpired down under. Pacific Pickleball League teams format to rebrand as Major League Pickleball Australia. The first event is scheduled for this weekend, September 8 through 10 in Brisbane, Australia. Brisbane being one of the three major cities in Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, or Melbourne, as my dear American pickleball friends call it. And Brisbane. Brisbane is actually the third largest city in Australia by population. So this is great news to hear. Major League Pickleball, MLP, today announced their first international expansion through a partnership with Pacific Pickleball League, PPL. This strategic partnership will rebrand Pacific Pickleball teams format to Major League Pickleball Australia. Pacific Pickleball launched Australia's first professional local pickleball players to Australia's newest sports teams: Sydney Smash, the Melbourne Mavericks, Brisbane Breakers, and Gold Coast Glory. All teams will now play under the new Major League Pickleball Australia banner, and Pacific Pickleball's teams events will now align with the MLP format. The Pacific Pickleball brand will be maintained for Open and Masters events in the traditional tour format. Pickleball is, of course, the fastest growing sport in the US, now with over 36 million players, with an estimated 25,000 Aussies already playing. Wherever they can find space, the sport is exploding in popularity in Australia. This partnership is a landmark for the sport of pickleball. Major League Pickleball is at the forefront of standardizing the best professional pickleball league, not just in the US, but globally, said MLP CEO Julio DiPetrio. The MLP format is an amazing way to create even more excitement at these already electric team events. By partnering with MLP, we'll set record levels of prize money and host world-class events, supporting the growth of the sport in Australia, Adam Thompson, CEO and co-founder of Pacific Pickleball, said. MLP Australia will hand out close to $1 million in cash prizes over the next year. Pacific Pickleball's president and co-founder, Anthony Laveris, said the newly formed MLP Australia would provide a platform for Australia's elite players to showcase their skills and compete globally. MLP Australia will kickstart September 8 through 10 in Brisbane before Melbourne and the Sydney events later in the year. The series will highlight the highest level of sport in the country and offer the most prize money in the Southern Hemisphere. Pacific Pickleball was recognised as the official professional pickleball league of Australia in May. In partnership with the sport's governing body, Pickleball Australia Association, Pacific Pickleball aims to harness momentum behind the fastest growing sport in the US. The explosive popularity of the sport in Australia has created a strong need for professional events. Participation in the sport currently exceeds 25,000 and membership has doubled in the last 12 months, said Brendan Lee from the Pickleball Australia Association. Second thing to know as we move over to the dinkpickleball.com, reporting that the PPA Tour is revamping its talent pool with former tennis stars. The PPA Tour isn't done signing players in a bid to recruit top talent. Its new assignee is tennis female athlete Jeannie Bouchard. One look at her track record and you can imagine Jeannie didn't come cheap. Wimbledon final 2014, Aussie Open semis 2014, French Open semis 2014, highest tennis rank of number 5 and 2.4 million followers on Instagram. We'll look forward to seeing her performance on the pickleball court. But all this has us wondering, is this the PPA's new strategy? And will the skills transfer at a professional level? Consider that pickleball has featured in school PE programs for over a decade. Sooner or later, there will be a wave of young players who are true native pickleballers, kids who can dink with their eyes closed, who can practically feel where the ball is going to bounce next. What's going to happen when he or she faces off against someone who's been playing pickleball for longer than his or her tennis or pickleball careers combined? Food for thought. A pattern emerges in the ongoing tour wars between the PPA and MLP. The PPA has announced a slate of new signees who are also former tennis stars. That list includes Jack Sock. Jack first stepped foot on a PPA Tour event court earlier this year, showing the most pickleball prowess of any of the recent converts. He entered the PPA North Carolina event and won gold in mixed doubles alongside none other than Annalee Waters. He announced his tennis retirement the same day he was signed to the PPA. In tennis, of course, known for his strong doubles play, including winning multiple Grand Slam titles in men's doubles and mixed doubles and achieving a career-high singles tennis ranking of world number 8. Jeannie Bouchard is a Canadian tennis player known for reaching the Wimbledon final in 2014, where she was runner-up. Sam Querrey has had consistent rankings amongst the top tennis players in the world, reaching a career best singles ranking of world number 11. We also have other tennis converts across to pickleball, such as Donald Young, achieving a career high tennis ranking of world 38, number 38 in 2012, and competing in numerous Grand Slam tournaments. Caitlin Christian, an American doubles specialist who has had success on the WTA Tour, including reaching the semis of the 2019 Aussie Open in women's doubles. Tina Pisnik, who is a retired Slovenian tennis player who reached a career-high tennis singles ranking of world number 29 in 01 and won multiple WTA titles in her career. Chao Yi Wang, playing in the 2023 US Open. Not much available on her at this stage as a signing. And then there's also the former college tennis players that have been signed: Lingwei Kong, Kate Fay, Jackie Urbanati, and Perina Imperato. Moving across to another article from theDinkPickleball.com. And if you're finding any of this helpful or informative, please be sure to dink that like button. The APP's 2024 tour schedule will look a little different, with worldwide sponsorships and a tour stop televised in China under its belt. The APP Tour has had an eventful 2023. Now the Pro League has announced big plans for 2024. We'll be running a minimum of 20 events in the US and continuing to grow our international partnerships portfolio, a spokesperson said. The 24 APP Tour will feature a minimum of 12 events total. At least 4 of these will be categorized as APP Tour majors. At least 8 of these will be categorized as APP Tour primary events. Now, the major events feature larger venues, larger draws, and larger prize pools compared to the tour primary events. They've also announced new signature events, which are at least 5 standalone events that cater to specific audiences and geographies, and next-gen enhancements. They have confirmed that they will increase their commitment to identifying and developing future stars of the sport, with the next-gen series featuring a minimum 3 events in 2024. More international deals. The APP will increase its international footprint through partnerships with federations and organizations in emerging markets worldwide. In 23, the league has fostered sponsorships in India, England, Spain, Sweden, and Australia, and an increased player prize pool. APP players will be glad to learn that the league is increasing the player prize money in 24. Pro players competing in tour majors in 24 will be battling it out for a minimum prize pool of $150,000 per event, while primary events will feature funds of at least $100,000 per event. Moving across to another article on the dinkpickleball.com, and that's the PPA Cincinnati Open preview predictions for doubles play. Let's look at the notable missing players from the tournament. We have Travis Rettenmeyer, Hayden Patriquin, Zane Navratil, Maggie Brascia, and Jana Newell all having this tournament off. In men's doubles, let's look at some predictions. Connor Garnett and Gabe Tardio. Tardio has been playing out of his mind lately, and I don't think anyone's stock has risen quite quickly as Garnett's over the last year or so. It'll be interesting to see who plays where, but this team could make some noise. Riley Newman and Thomas Wilson. Newman is now on his 4th men's partner of the year. He ditched Matt Wright to go with either Kohler or Arnold, only not to win anything with either of them. We'll see if Wilson can be a very solid steadying force for Newman. Matt Wright and Rafa Hewitt, an interesting pairing. This is the opposite of the Connor Garnett, Gabe Tardio pairing. We're not going for athleticism and quickness here. However, these guys both have hands and their pickleball IQ is through the roof. Let's see how far they can go. Steve Deacon and Colin Schick, 2 PPA signees that are pairing up. This is the first time for this duo. Schick is half Deacon's age, and his doubles game has really been coming along. Predictions for teams to make it to the semis: Tyson McGuffin and James Ignatowicz, Riley Newman and Thomas Wilson, Ben and Colin Johns, of course, and Dylan Fraser and J.W. Johnson. And the champs, of course, a prediction, no surprise there, Ben and Colin Johns. Let's look at some quick notes about the women's doubles as we move to here. Lindsay Newman and Tina Pisnik could very easily be the best defensive team in the entire tournament. Millie Rain and Murray Humberg. The offense of this team is impressive. Can they handle the sustained rallies and dink with the best? Hurricane Tyra Black and Lauren Stratman. We're going to see some firepower with this first-time pairing. This could be one of the last times we see these two play together for a while, as Stratman signed with the PPA and Black with the MLP. The predictions for the women's doubles are Anna Bright and Megan Dizon, Catherine Parento and Annalie Waters, Lucy Kovalova and Kelly Jo Smith, and Hurricane Tyra Black and Lauren Stratman. Of course, prediction for women's doubles champions, no surprise, Catherine Parento and Annalie Waters. Let's move now to the mixed doubles. Quick notes about the pairings. We have, of course, Anna Bright and James Ignatowicz, a couple off the court as well as on the court. They have an extremely high ceiling together. However, their 2 most recent results have been lacking: a first-round loss in the recent Tournament of Champions and a round of 16 loss in Kansas City has them on a downward trend. Hopefully, with the MLP PPA 2 awards out of the way, they can get back to their winning ways. We have Julian Arnold, of course, and Lolo. Let's see. This is a couple that very rarely plays tour stops together. It'll be fun watching them to play together. It's Lauren Stratman, of course, a couple off the court as well. And Millie Rain and Gabe Tardio. This young duo had a hell of a run in Kansas City, a 4th place finish. Tardio obviously played really well and played well in the middle. Let's see if they can make it 2 straight events. Predictions to make it to the semis, of course, Riley Newman and Jessie Irvine, Annalie Waters and Ben Johns, J.W. and Georgia Johnson, and Tyson McGuffin and Catherine Parento. Prediction for the champions, of course, no surprise, Annalie Waters and Ben Johns. 5th thing to know, the Dink Pickleball has reported that at that PPA Cincinnati Open, there was a bit of chirping and a bit of, back and forth, shall we say, no love lost between Tyson McGuffin and Tyler Lung after their men's singles match. McGuffin flipped Lung the bird after a few words were exchanged, and McGuffin also went on to say in his after-match interview that he didn't like what was stated in the past on Tyler Lung's podcast. Paddles up.